please ensure that you're all seated. Ask as many questions as possible um, as we begin. Okay, so this event is brought to you by Bincom Dev Center. So I'm just going to talk a little bit and then we'll now head on to the event proper. All right. So you're all welcome to the infrastructure meetup once again. And like I said, it's brought to you by Bincom Dev Center. And at Bincom Dev Center, we are a multi-location technology, talent development, and solutions platform. Um, we have our focus on building tech talent, enhancing tech talent, and also building startups. We also have our locations that, first of all, it's virtually near you. You can get to us at any point, at anywhere, at the comfort of your smartphone. You can also meet us at our locations, our physical locations, where we have in different locations from Lagos State to Oyo State to Kano State to Kaduna State to Ogun State to Delta to the United Kingdom, and we have plans to expand to as many locations as possible. All right, so I mentioned that our focus is on building tech talents, um, enhancing tech talents, and also building startups. Each of these focus has different services we focus on that could actually help build your tech talent, that could actually help enhance your tech talent, and also help you build tech startups. So we have Bincom Academy. It utilizes a Montessori approach in training participants in basic skills that is needed for the modern technology ecosystem. We also have a tech internship, which is designed to enable people at intermediate skill levels gain mastery and expertise over a period of time. Our industrial attachment is our Bincom Tech apprenticeship is an industrial attachment at various skill levels to gain experience and on-the-job training. We also have Bincom Tech Network, including community events and projects. One of it is what you're attending today. And our aim is geared at giving back to the community and building the tech ecosystem. Our focus is on informing and exposing the youth to the current technology trends and how you and I can prepare for the future in technology. We have our light space. It is intended to provide helpful workspace to encourage collaboration and also drive innovation in the startup ecosystem. We have spaces that is created and designed for various events like seminars, conferences, and get together. And we have our global tech program. It is your solution to launching your tech career globally. This program is typically 1 to 2 years, focused on three key pillars which learn skill, gain experience, gain exposure. If you stay to the end of this program or this meetup, we have something for you. And I'm sure you don't want to miss that. So we also have our Immigrate Tech Visa that helps you become a globally attractive techie. It helps you build, puts yourself out there, have a good tech profile, and also build a tech-enabled business. It is also your tech-enabled pathway to relocation and settlement in countries like UK, USA, Canada, France, and many countries. And then we have our mentoring platform. If you're a mentor and you want to add value to mentees, this is what you should be on. This platform is where you should be. If you're a mentee looking for where to meet mentors and also, learn from other people, other mentors, experts in the field, a mentoring platform is your solution. The purpose is building globally attractive techie. And I also have a Labs by Bincom, a typical 3 to 6 months pre-incubator program that brings together participants to build a digital technology product which will be used by real life users. And finally, we have our tech career coaching. It helps individuals learn their next role faster by offering them a combination of coaching, relevant on the job experience, career referencing, introduction to tech recruiters, hands holding through application and interview process, and much more. So if you've got the skill and you're looking for how you can um, land your next role, how to ace an interview, this is your solution. So please, if you're interested in any of this service, please do look out for links in the comments or in the chat. We'll be dropping viable links and we'll love that you participate. All right, so thank you so much for taking our time to be a part of this event. At this juncture, I would hand over to the host of this event to carry on with the event. So please do well, sit tight, and keep as many questions as possible. It's an engaging session, and I would love that we all participate in one accord. So please jot down your questions. We'll take questions after the second speaker has gone. All right, so I'll hand over to the host of this event.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, I can hear you. Without wasting much of our time, thank you, Ms. Joy. I would like to introduce our first guest speaker, Mr. Yalo Rabiu Jibrin. He's a senior cloud consultant and a Microsoft certified trainer at Tech Expert. He has a wealth of experience in cloud computing. Today, Mr. Yalo Rabiu Jibrin will be sharing insight on challenges in modern IT infrastructure. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Yalo Rabiu Jibrin.
Yeah, hi everyone. Am I audible? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
thank
good afternoon, everyone. But then I normally get scared of the titles, right? Senior this, senior that, MCT, because I feel like it comes with a lot of expectations. So when I introduce myself, after saying all those things, I like to place myself or give people the orientation that I'm just a lifelong learner that loves to always keep learning and growing. And thank you for having me. So just go ahead and share my screen shortly. Give me 1 second. Okay, kindly let me know once you can see my slide projected on the screen.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be talking about the challenges in modern IT infrastructure, and this is how we'll proceed. So first of all, right, we'll be looking at a definition of modern IT infrastructure. And after that, we'll go ahead to look at the challenges in modern IT architecture, IT infrastructure as it is today. There's a lot of those issues around modern IT infrastructure. And then after that, we'll also be looking at the way forward, right? Once we've been able to address these challenges, how then will we be able to manage and then fine tune and make sure that our infrastructure is able to work appropriately, scale accordingly, and then reduce wastage and also maximize the potential. Okay. So, sorry. Modern IT. 1 second. How do I make this disappear? Okay, yeah. So modern IT infrastructure refers to the comprehensive framework that support an organization's digital operations. This definition was gotten from ChatGPT. So I just asked ChatGPT its understanding of modern IT infrastructure in summary, and then ChatGPT said this. But then comparing this to what we have in Google, Google defined modern IT infrastructure as a stack of next generation technology, right? Because we called it modern IT infrastructure. So it is looking at a stack of next gen technology and services utilized to develop IT environments that are highly flexible, scalable, and agile. So I tend to agree more with the Google definition as against that of ChatGPT, right? But then we are talking modern IT infrastructure, so it means that at every point in time, right, we should be able to adapt to changing infrastructure because the IT environment changes exponentially. You just finish learning one technology and then 2-3 months later, something new is out in the market, and then you just have to be open, keep your mind wide open, and then continue to learn to be able to meet up and then catch up with the changes in the industry. So modern IT infrastructure integrates cloud computing for scalable and flexible resource management, virtualization to be able to optimize our hardware usage as against the previous on-prem environment that we are coming from. So on premises, having all our IT infrastructure on premises in that server room, all the hardware and everything, which was, as at then it worked, right? But then it was not easy to scale. And then it was very difficult to scale without a downtime, which are some of the advantages that the cloud presently gives us to work with. And aside hardware optimization, also software-defined infrastructure for streamlined management and rapid provisioning. So with modern IT architecture, we can be able to leverage this software-defined infrastructure that helps us to address our infrastructure even when we are not looking, right? So what is modern? Oh, sorry. So this should actually be one of the challenges, right, in modern IT infrastructure. So one of those major challenges with this infrastructure is because it is robust, it is complex, and then it means there's a lot of security risk, and there's a lot of backdoors, or there are a lot of ways in which our infrastructure can be affected or attacked. So we have hackers constantly trying to get into different applications or different servers, trying to explore the network and then explore any vulnerabilities we might have. So security risk is one of the biggest challenges that we have in the modern IT infrastructure environment. Complexity. So another challenge that we talk about when we talk about modern IT infrastructure is complexity. Because we try to build this infrastructure to support so many different services, bring your own device, integrate to different applications and different softwares, different in-house and different other cloud applications, it makes that environment very complex. Thereby, by complexity, then means that managing the infrastructure becomes very difficult, right? Because we have some part of the infrastructure on-prem, and then we have some in the cloud, thereby leveraging a hybrid infrastructure. So integrating all these different environments, applications, and services becomes very difficult to manage. Another challenge with this IT infrastructure also is scalability, ensuring that we're able to scale when needed and then able to make our network elastic, right, becomes very challenging. So I find that utilizing the modern IT infrastructure, right, most organizations tend to over provision resources. And because these organizations build quickly, so they always try to prioritize speed as against quality, right? So the next thing that they are looking for, or that the management is looking for, or the answers they are looking for is the application working? Is it running? Are we making money off it? So tending to prioritize that speed over quality means that we deploy very quickly to get applications to market. But then once we get those applications to market, we then start to manage the challenges that comes with the quality that we didn't look at. So during the building or the deployment stages, we probably didn't focus on maybe security, manageability, and then the scale of these applications. But then once they're out there, it then becomes a challenge because like in the previous challenges we looked at, right, we saw security challenges. So because we were too quick to build, we did not address the concerns of security, we did not address compliance and all these other things that we're meant to consider in quality. It then becomes very challenging for us to be able to scale our infrastructure. Data management is also a big challenge when it comes to modern IT infrastructure. So handling large volumes of data that is generated from different various sources and ensuring that all that data is accessible and we're able to integrate and secure that data becomes a serious challenge, right? So we have databases, we have data, maybe we are scraping some data from a website, or we are running polls, we are running promotions. All that data, all these different data, right, have different, they all have different, so they all have different management principles, right? So for certain data, for maybe PHI data, the way we manage PHI will be different from the way we manage health data. And then having these different streams of data come in, and then it becomes a serious challenge knowing how to do what or where which particular data should go. Compliance also becomes a serious issue in modern IT infrastructure because in navigating complex regulatory requirements and ensuring infrastructure meets industry standards, we begin to find certain loopholes, right, when it comes to compliance. Performance optimization. So performance is also one of those big challenges that we tend to experience when it comes to modern IT infrastructure, because dealing with performance means that sometimes we over-provision resources, right? We have those resources out there, and then we fail to manage the resource utilization and consumption. So for example, we have a web server that is running on premium, but then that web server is meant to be just for internal consumption. So we have a lot of waste of resources going on in those resources that becomes very difficult to manage. And because it is modern, right? And it is modern, and we are making our infrastructure to be able to support a lot of these resources and services. It then becomes very challenging to be able to monitor, optimize how these resources perform. Okay. Cost management is also a very big one because one of the other challenges that comes with this modern infrastructure setup is that we have sometimes when you run these searches on different customer environments, you find that there are some resources that are just floating in those customer environments or those customer subscriptions that are not even being utilized. So they just have resources that maybe somebody just provisioned the dev test environment, and then once he was done testing, he forgot to clean up. And then those resources are just there, accruing cost for the customer month in, month out, without record, right, as to why those resources are there and then what they are doing. So cost management is also a very big challenge when it comes to modern IT infrastructure. One other challenge that I wanted to look at was legacy system integration. So when it has to do with integration, because this infrastructure is modern, it becomes very challenging, right? Forward compatibility and backward compatibility, right? So for different environments, it becomes a serious issue when they need to integrate certain, maybe mostly in-house applications, right? Because so I tell you, recently I was in one ISP data center. I won't call any names, but then I got to find out my time there that these guys in 2024, they are still making use of Windows XP. So that tells you how so many organizations are very rigid, right? When it has to do with changing and adapting to technology. So system integration becomes very difficult when organizations have older systems or older infrastructure that they need to integrate to these new environments for compatibility and functionality. Disaster recovery is also one challenge that a lot of organizations fails to look at when it has to do with the modern IT infrastructure. So for disaster recovery, planning and implementation and implementing strategies to recover quickly from system failures or disruptions. So you have this infrastructure, right, up and running. How do you plan to address or reroute traffic or to make sure that your customers or your employees are able to continue working when there's a downtime? So managing disaster recovery also becomes very complex, right? Because you have so many moving parts in this infrastructure, and then knowing what to do or how to manage these different moving pieces becomes very challenging in managing disaster recovery. And most importantly, one other highlight that I took note of is the skill gaps, because these infrastructures that are modern are very complex and require a lot of skill. So you find mostly that for some organizations, right, for some they are not aware, right, but then for some others, they are aware, but then trying to cut corners or save money becomes a serious challenge in getting the right skills to be able to manage this infrastructure and make sure that monitoring, integration, and all the other moving parts are integrated accordingly. So after discussing modern IT infrastructure and looking at some of the challenges, right, that affects the modern IT infrastructure, it is also important that we look at what is the way forward? Once we are able to build these infrastructures to scale, right, and we're able to find the challenges and issues that are in our infrastructure, how do we then go ahead to manage and to resolve those issues and to kind of provide clarity as to what we should do going forward to make sure that we reduce downtime, we take care of security, and make sure that everything that affects this network or infrastructure is at the barest minimum. So first is assessment and planning. So in order to be able to resolve any issues, you need to be aware or you need to agree that you have that issue, right? So because a madman never agrees that he's mad. So that's the challenge. If he doesn't know or he doesn't agree, then how will you be able to treat him? So first, you need to carry out the assessment of that infrastructure or that network to be able to find all those loopholes and plan on how to fix them. So you conduct a thorough assessment of current infrastructure, and then you define clear objectives and priorities aligned with the business needs. So every business has a mission and vision and how they like to visualize things. So in the assessment and planning, you need to put that into consideration as to how you plan to manage all you found out in the assessment of that infrastructure. Security enhancement. So implementing robust cybersecurity measures and policies and regularly updating security protocols to mitigate risk. So for security, security is one very big bowl to fill. You can never be 100% secure, right? because the more you are trying to secure your infrastructure, your applications, or your data, the more the hackers and the bad guys too are getting better at their job. So security, you cannot rest on security. You have to keep striving for 100%, right? Even though we know that it's difficult to reach 100% when it has to do with security. So the next thing as a way forward for mitigating these issues is also simplifying and standardizing. So if you're able to simplify the different moving parts of your infrastructure, it then becomes easier to manage. So you need to be able to streamline infrastructure through standardization and automation, because a lot of environments tend to run away from automation. So, and whenever you run away from automation, it then means you are doing things manually, and then doing things manually will then bring about human errors when it comes to these deployments. So imagine just one human trying to scale 10 servers to 100. Imagine how many mouse clicks that user will have to go through in provisioning 100 servers or 100 web apps. So it becomes very difficult, and then human errors comes into play, and it then makes it very difficult for us to standardize. So we also need to be able to adapt to tools for efficient management and then reducing complexity. So there are different tools that we can leverage. So in design, you have to consider a tool that works best for your business. In automation, in deployment, in security, in monitoring, and all these different other angles, right? You need to find a tool that makes your job easier and then makes you get to market faster. Scalability and flexibility. So when it has to do with scalability and flexibility, design infrastructure for dynamic scaling using cloud and virtualization, because like I said earlier, right, when we do on-prem, though it works at some point, but then it becomes very difficult for us to be able to scale that environment. So imagine having to maybe change hard drives or change RAMs on a server, on a laptop on premises. It then means that we have to incur downtime for that to happen as against the cloud. So, and with the cloud, there are different other cloud technologies or resources that allows us to be able to define how we want that cloud environment to operate. Say, for example, right, we can decide to put in metrics or policies on an environment or certain resources to say once resource utilization on this server gets to 70%, just go ahead and spin me 2 copies or spin me a copy of this server. And so far that metric is reached, the cloud policy will keep implementing, thereby keep creating new resources for that, new versions for that resource until it doesn't hit that metrics anymore. And then it is also to automatically reverse once a certain defined metrics has also been reached, thereby deleting multiple copies of that server or that resource and then getting back to the barest minimum as it was configured. So you need to be able to optimize resource utilization and cost. And we also need to be able to optimize data management. So for data management, we need to be able to implement data governance frameworks for integrity and compliance, because our eyes cannot see, in fact, cannot see much, not everything, not to talk about seeing everything. So we need to be able to implement frameworks that takes into account how that data is governed, and then it makes sure that it is in compliance at every point in time. We also need to be able to utilize analytics for proactive decision making, because analytics kinds of gives us an overview, right, of the environment. So instead of going into the different pieces of infrastructure that we have or the different moving pieces, we'll be able to just visualize from the analytics board as to where certain issues are and then what needs to be done and be able to take care of it. One other thing is investing in modernization. So for investing in modernization, it means since we are trying to adapt, right, and then build a modern IT infrastructure, it means that we must be able to always modernize our applications, our software, our resources to be able to meet up with what is at par at that point in time, right? Like the example I was saying about a particular ISP still making use of Windows XP in the environment. Yes, for them it works, right? But then it becomes very difficult when they need to integrate to other modern systems because XP is too backward. So training and skill development. So training and skill development is very important for managing, or in fact, not just managing, for designing, architecting, deploying, managing and monitoring the modern IT infrastructure, because it provides continuous training to bridge skill gaps, because one engineer cannot be everywhere, and we all have our limits, right? One person can be so good at infrastructure, but then not so good at code or application development. So we all have different strength areas. So the more we're able to train and upskill our engineers or our staff, it then makes it very easy for us to be able to manage the infrastructure and then to scale it easy. Foster a culture of innovation and collaboration. So aside doing the James Bond, right? The one size fits all. That one person is maybe like the network engineer, he's the data engineer, he's the IT manager and everything. Fostering innovation and collaboration makes it easy for these people to come together and then address the common goal of making sure that that infrastructure runs accordingly. So continuous monitoring and improvement. It implements proactive monitoring and metrics for performance, and then it conducts regular reviews and then refine processes. So one very important thing about monitoring and improvement is once monitoring and improvement have been put into place, it doesn't just stay there because things change all the time. So we need to be able to set periods, maybe quarterly, monthly, or yearly, to review what we have and then try to improve it to perform better. Disaster recovery and business continuity. So for disaster recovery, we need to be able to develop and test robust disaster recovery plans. We don't just wait till things happen before we start running helter-skelter, finding a fix. We'll normally have maybe multiple environments that we can easily switch to, like our staging, our prod, or prod and non-prod. So in case, in the event of an issue, we can be able to quickly switch from one deployment to the other. Collaboration and alignment. So foster collaboration between IT and business stakeholders, because the business people mostly, they might not be very techy, but then we all need to be in agreement. We all need to align and collaborate to make sure that we move everything forward. So also aligning infrastructure investment with strategic objectives. So for different moving pieces within the infrastructure, we want to be able to make investments that make sure it is easily scalable, it is highly secure. So I quickly ran through that because of the timing. And then if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat and we'll look at it later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yalo Rabiu, for that insightful presentation. Before we move on to our next speaker, we would like to take a brief pause and share with you our digital feedback form. It's already in the chat box. Your feedback is invaluable to us and it helps us to improve future events. While you are filling the form, please enjoy this video on global tech. I'm going to share a video with you.
Hello, my name is Olayinka Simoya. I am the Professional Services Lead at Bincom Dev Center. Bincom Dev Center is a multi-location tech training and development center in Nigeria. And our major objective at Bincom Dev Center is to produce over 1,000 quality tech individuals every year. These people are highly employable, globally attractive, and highly sought after in the tech ecosystem. You ask why, right? Yes, talents are in high demand in international communities such as the US, the UK, Canada, and France. These countries have made policies and pathways to enable immigrations for tech talent. And guess what? Average salaries of software developers are as high as £35,000 per annum, and this is at the entry level. The opportunity for tech talent are endless, both locally and internationally. This means that the tech ecosystem is one of the highest employers of labor in Nigeria. Yet, many tech companies say that they are not able to find the right tech talents that they need. This is why we started the Bincom Global Tech Program. The program focuses on 3 major pillars, which are learn skills, gain experience, and gain exposure. The program spans between 1 to 2 years, and during this period, trainees are taken through an in-depth curriculum in their chosen tech tracks and also in development of soft skills required for them to become globally attractive in the tech ecosystem, both locally and internationally. This program helps trainees to learn tech skills, gain relevant tech experience, and also exposure to the endless possibilities and opportunities available in the tech ecosystem all over the world. Listen to some of the testimonials of our past trainees.
Yes, I had high hopes and expectations while joining Bincom Academy, and trust me, believe in me, yes, it was met beyond my expectations. I saw things I have never seen. I did things I thought I would not be able to do in the space of 1 to 3 years. I achieved so much.
Actually, my expectation was met. I think at Dev Center, Bincom my I learned quite a lot of things. Learned web development, front-end development. I learned mobile development. Coming here, I was thinking I would just I enrolled as a front-end a mobile app development team, but later on actually lead man just create some front-end teams, lead man on front-end development like WordPress, like Joomla, also work with some nice front-end frameworks like Angular and the likes.
The program has various knowledge tracks that you can choose from.
Sorry about that. I thought you guys were seeing the video.
Okay, sorry. I think you've not started sharing the windows that is playing the video.
Sorry about that.
What you need to do is to stop this screen and share that video window, the window that is playing the video, right?
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Olayinka Simoya. I am the Professional Services Lead at Bincom Dev Center. Bincom Dev Center is a multi-location tech training and development center in Nigeria. And our major objective at Bincom Dev Center is to produce over 1,000 quality tech individuals every year. These people are highly employable, globally attractive, and highly sought after in the tech ecosystem. You ask why, right? Yes, talents are in high demand in international communities such as the US, the UK, Canada, and France. These countries have made policies and pathways to enable immigrations for tech talent. And guess what? Average salaries of software developers are as high as £35,000 per annum, and this is at the entry level. The opportunity for tech talent are endless, both locally and internationally. This means that the tech ecosystem is one of the highest employers of labor in Nigeria. Yet, many tech companies say that they are not able to find the right tech talents that they need. This is why we started the Bincom Global Tech Program. The program focuses on 3 major pillars, which are learn skills, gain experience, and gain exposure. The program spans between 1 to 2 years, and during this period, trainees are taken through an in-depth curriculum in their chosen tech tracks and also in development of soft skills required for them to become globally attractive in the tech ecosystem, both locally and internationally. This program helps trainees to learn tech skills, gain relevant tech experience, and also exposure to the endless possibilities and opportunities available in the tech ecosystem all over the world. Listen to some of the testimonials of our past trainees.
Yes, I had high hopes.
Sorry, you are muted. We can't hear you.
Being at Dev Center, being my I learned quite a lot of things. Learned web development, front end development. I learned mobile development. Coming here, I was thinking I would just I enrolled as a front end a mobile app development team, but later on actually lead man just focus on teams, lead man on content development like WordPress, like Joomla, also work with some front nice front end frameworks like Angular and the likes.
The program has various knowledge tracks that you can choose from. Some of the technical knowledge tracks include the data science track, which is starting with Python. We have the backend track starting with PHP, the front-end mobile app track starting with JavaScript, the DevOps infrastructure track. We have the UI UX graphics track, and also the software testing and quality assurance track. And apart from the technical and software programming knowledge tracks, we also have business knowledge tracks that are equally highly paid across the world. And some of them include the project, service, and product management track, starting with Agile. We have the digital marketing, performance marketing track as well. It's interesting, right? Yes. It is a highly intensive program. You need to be able to commit at least 40 hours every week to the program. You can choose from our various shifts. We have the regular shift, which is the 40 hours weekly, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays and 1 to 2 Saturdays a month. We have the night shift, the 40 hours weekly, which is 5 p.m. till late on weekdays and 1 to 2 Saturdays every month. We also have the majorly weekend shift, which is 40 hours weekly, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays, and then 4 hours every other weekdays. We also have other flexible shifts based on your availability. Yes, all you need to start are a laptop device and a passion and hunger for IT. Wait, it gets better. We have various financing options to help you cover the cost of the program. So the program is not free. You do not need to have money to be able to apply and be admitted to this program. The total cost of the Bincom Global Tech program over the 1 to 2 years period is 1.2 million naira. And we have one of the financing options available is the income sharing agreement, which means that the company will sponsor you through the entire program and you only start when you start earning income after the program. This means that aside the skills, the experience, and the exposure, the company is also willing to invest their money on you. It doesn't get better than that. What are you waiting for? Hurry up to bincom.net/global tech and register to launch your global tech career. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Thank
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you. Okay.
Oh, without wasting our time, we have our second speaker. Yeah, I hope all of us have filled the feedback form. We have our second speaker here, Mr. Samuel Ekele. Mr. Samuel Ekele is an infrastructure DevOps engineer at Bincom Dev Center. Mr. Samuel, you have
All right. Thank you very much for that introduction. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I believe you all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you for having me today. My more experienced colleagues have talked more on these issues. Of course, I don't really have much to say, but probably his slide actually covers almost more than everything I have, right? So he has done well. My name is Samuel Ekele, and I'm a DevOps and infrastructure engineer at Bincom Dev Center. And the topic we are talking about today is challenges in modern IT infrastructure, right? So you can see all these agendas has already been addressed by my more experienced colleagues. We want to look at what IT infrastructure is all about. We are going to look at challenges like scalability and flexibility. We're going to look at increased complexity as one of the challenges, right, of modern IT infrastructure. And we're going to look at the biggest challenges modern IT infrastructure currently face, which is the security threat, right? We're going to look at cost constraint, right? And we're going to look at legacy infrastructure and integrations, that is vendor locking thing, and we'll conclude, and then we'll take some questions, right? So as you can see, he has already mentioned, he already talked about all this, and he has even talked more. There are a whole lot of those challenges, right? There are a whole lot of challenges facing modern IT infrastructure setups, right? But I just pick few of them and then to talk about. And thank God he was able to tell us even more about the general challenges that is facing the IT infrastructure. So when we say IT infrastructure, what are we referring to? Right? So IT infrastructure, or rather information technology infrastructure, refers to the combined component needed for the operations and management of enterprise IT service and IT environment, right? So everything that you need that serves as the backbone that powers your business, right, is basically what we refer to as the IT infrastructure, which includes your computer, your network, gadgets, your softwares and everything. Those things you use that serve as the lifeblood, right, or the backbone of that powers your business is generally what we refer to as IT infrastructure. As we all know, that technology powers nearly every aspect of today's businesses, from an individual's employees' work to operations to goods and services, right? When these things, the whole infrastructure is not properly networked, it can be, or rather, when it's properly networked, it can be optimized to improve communication and create efficiency and increase productivity, right? Companies or enterprises can gain a competitive edge if their IT infrastructure is flexible, if it's reliable, if it's secure. Alternatively, or otherwise, if an IT infrastructure isn't properly implemented, business can face connectivity issues, productivity and security issues, right? Like system disruption and breaches and all that, right? Having a properly implemented infrastructure can be a factor in whether your business is profitable or your business fails, right? So we are going to look at the common challenges. Oh, sorry, I lost my. So the challenges span from scalability issues, flexibility, security threat, legacy infrastructures, lack of integration, increased complexity, and so many of them, right? So when it comes to scalability and flexibility, we all know that most companies, when designing your IT infrastructure, where we're coming from is on-prem, right? Where you have to have a stacks of all the IT infrastructure in our environment, in our on-prems, like servers and the likes, all the networks and all that. We have them stacked in our on-prems, right? And that comes with a whole lot of issues with scaling your applications to meet future demands, right? Because if you actually need to scale them up, it means that you need to go to the market and acquire more server and all that. So the previous state where we're coming from doesn't give us room for that scalability. And it becomes one of the challenges, right? Because as your business grows, right, you need to you need to also grow your IT infrastructure that powers the business. Because when you build your applications today or build your service today, it's the request, or rather the demand for your service grow over time, right? So you need to build your applications to be able to dynamically scale up when you grow. So this is an issue that facing modern IT infrastructure we use today. And how are we going to overcome this thing? What's going to be the way forward out of this challenge of scalability? You need to understand, or rather build your application and think about the future when you're actually building your solutions, right? You need to create more room. And in this case, you don't have to spend more than you're supposed to. And there are so many other solutions like adopting a hyperscalers like AWS and Azure platforms and GCP, where you can take advantage of their elasticity. You know, when your applications grow, right, it automatically scales by itself. And when your demand reduces, it reduces your resources to accommodate whatever request that is coming to your application. Basically, adopting a hybrid cloud solutions will actually give you an edge and solve anything that has to do with scalability issue, right? So we also have issues with complexity. We have issues with complexity. As organizations evolve their capability and services offering with advanced technology like let's say AI, machine learning, and all that, you know, that's like the buzz of the moment. So the supporting infrastructure grows more complex, right? When you start adopting these technologies, new evolving technologies, the supporting infrastructure also becomes a whole lot of complex, right? So let's say, for example, most of the modern applications we use today are powered by microservices, right? Microservice applications, right? So microservice applications are extremely agile and allow software teams to deliver advanced, high performance product very quickly and efficiently, right? So building and maintaining the containerized environments like network logic and security architecture to host and support those applications is difficult and prone to human errors, right? So as we evolve, as technology continues to evolve, it introduce this kind of complexity. And managing these underlying issues that have to do with this complexity requires that you do a whole lot of tedious job, repetitive tasks like factoring in device security, and a whole lot of things, right? And it prompts to human errors, right? And this mistake are the cause of up to 40% of cyber security incidents. So minimizing human errors is critical to network resilience. Now, what is the way forward? The way forward is, tedious IT infrastructures and network management workflows are perfect candidates for automation. Right? For instance, we have a tools we call zero touch provisioning, that ZTP. And aside this, these are just like network defined software defined infrastructure. We have the likes of infrastructure as codes like your Terraforms, Chef, Ansible, and the likes, right? That helps you define your infrastructure as if they are software. You actually see what your network looks like before you provision them in real life. So this way, it helps you to minimize risk, because before you implement these changes, you already seen the outcome, and it's become easier for you to manage. The second thing is the security threat. With security threat at all-time high, security is very, very important, right? It's like the biggest challenges we are facing in this modern IT infrastructure, right? With over 80% being against SME, small and medium businesses. So safeguarding data storage, web applications, and network devices is not a small task. From ransom targeting, cloud resources to vulnerability in your operating system. No single business is immune from this attack, right? In recent times, there is a study that points to astonishing need for over 4 million more cyber security professionals globally, right? Because the security landscape is actually very wide, right? Cyber security or cyber attack industry, cyber threat industry, or cyber crime industry is actually a huge industry that continues to grow because it's highly incentive. So you see that, and their aim is to target small and medium enterprises, right? So, and in recent time, it has like increased more than we used to know. So how do you now go about solving your security issues with this growing trend? All right, just like as my colleagues have spoken, continuous infrastructure monitoring plays a pivotal role in early threats, right? Detections. It helps you to detect threat earlier and then incorporating rigorous cybersecurity practice in cloud computing to ensure an ultimate defense. Even in the most volatile digital landscape, service providers like Microsoft Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud prioritize security offering built-in tools and protocols to keep threats at bay. In as much as you cannot protect your IT infrastructure completely, you can still put certain security measures like designing a good security policy in your IT infrastructures, at least to keep threats at bay. There's other things we want to look at is the issue with cost, right? So we have these new technologies coming in, and they can be so expensive, right? They come with a whole lot of cost. We have the likes of, if you are taking advantage of the hyperscalers like AWS and the likes, you see that you have the Q families, like the Q side, the Q business, Q developers, and all that, that mostly focusing on Gen AI and all that, right? So if you want to integrate them into your application, right, which almost every business have to or looking up to integrating into their businesses, it comes with a whole lot of cost, right? And if you want to also upgrade your data centers and maintain them, it also comes with a whole lot of cost. Right? So, sorry, this course is just to transitions to cloud service transitioning to cloud service promise of cloud computing is predictability. At least you can set a budget, and you can also see what you can see your requirement, you can see your consumption rate, and all these details, right, can be logged to you, and you can see them in real times, right, before you opt in or while the workload is running, and you don't have to like pay upfront. You pay only what you use. You don't have to like have the all the equipment paid for before you use. So that's one of the challenges we're having with the modern IT infrastructure, right? Then legacy infrastructure. As provider modernize and upgrade their service offering, other devices fall out of support. These legacy devices are outdated and incapable of integrating with modern software. I remember I used to have iPad 2, right? I used to have iPad 2. And then suddenly I could no longer use it because Apple stopped supporting that versions of iOS, right? So you can no longer install like Facebook. You can no longer install app from App Store. My WhatsApp start failing and all that. So older devices fall out of support. These legacy devices are outdated and incapable of integrating with modern software by themselves, right? So this modern technology actually face these issues a whole lot. And sometimes you build applications and then you have upgraded platforms where you actually deploy your applications and all that. And suddenly you start hearing that this environment no longer supports PHP version, PHP version, this and all that, right? So it's a whole lot of issues with legacy application. So how do you now go or solve this kind of problem with legacy application team? You have to look out for a vendor neutral platforms, right? A vendor neutral platforms, and we have example like NodeGrid, which can help you push automations to older device that otherwise wouldn't be supported. This reduces the frictions created by older infrastructure, so administrators can incorporate them into their automated workflow. NodeGrid is just one of the examples, right? And we have other tools that will provide one single platforms that support or bridge this gap between older versions of your of software with a newer versions of platforms or IT infrastructure. So when you are designing your IT infrastructure or architecture, your business architecture and all that, you need to factor all these things in, because what you are building today probably will not be the way it will be built in future. So you need to factor in the future demand, the trends, the continuous evolutions of tech and all that into your applications before you commence your business, right? If not, you will not be able to, at some point, you will not be able to like run your applications because you don't have a supported platform for it. Then lack of integration and vendor freedom. We talked about a complex architectures like a microservice architectures in previous slide, right? So we find ourselves in this locking thing, vendor locking things, right? When you start using one platform, you don't have chances of switching the same things to another platform. So you always have these issues. Most IT infrastructure is a mix of features and services provided by different vendors, each with its own software and interface used to manage them. So all your IT infrastructures you use actually comes not from a single vendor, right? It doesn't come from a single vendor. It comes from multiple vendors. And sometimes IT infrastructure management teams compromise on features, security, redundancy, etc. to stay in their vendors' ecosystems, right? Which makes it difficult to build a custom fit network. Many teams opt instead to manage each vendor solution separately with little interoperability, right? This lack of integrations makes centralized orchestrations especially challenging. If you don't control your IT infrastructure from a single entry point, right? Because of these complex integrations of all that technology that powers your business, yeah, right? It becomes a whole lot of challenging. Then what should be the way out? What should be the way out of this? Is looking for a vendor neutral platform, right? You need to adopt a network infrastructure that can accommodate your exit needs and adapt when those needs changes. And your team also needs to centralize orchestration of the entire multi-vendor architecture. This requires vendor neutral infrastructure, management platform that can dig it hooks into any solution on your network, right? So we have so many solutions that you can actually use. I think let's just use some of the infrastructure as code tools, for example. Terraforms, Chef, Ansible, and Puppet, and all that. If you use them to define your infrastructure, you can use them for on any platform. So they are vendor neutral, right? It's not unlike AWS CloudFormation that you can only use on AWS platform, right? You can't use AWS CloudFormation on Google, on GCP or Azure, right? For instance, but you can use Terraform to define your infrastructure and deploy them on any environment because they are vendor neutral. So these are issues that you can face with this modern IT infrastructure. In conclusion, innovation and adaptability are key to navigating the challenges of modern IT infrastructures. Innovation and adaptability. You need to adapt to the changes because the changes is happening so fast and so frequent, right? You need to design your architecture to adapt to these changes, right? Staying informed and prepare for future development. There is always a new way of doing the old stuff. The way you do it this way today may not be the same way you will do it in the future, right? So you have to stay informed and get prepared for the future. As you build your business, you are not building only for today, but you are building for the future, right? You need to be proactive. Proactive management and continuous improvement is important. Of course, you need to take proactive measures. You need to continuously improve your services, improve everything about your application. And also, don't forget our emerging technologies like machine learning and AI, right? And we have blockchains and Internet of Things are all transforming IT infrastructure. There is nothing we can do about it. The future is actually more of these technologies, AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, and blockchains and the likes. So many of them are coming on board, and then you need to learn how to play along, stay up to date, because this is the technology you cannot do away with. And we can see that most of the modern application we use today is finding a way of adopting this, incorporating this, integrating this into their platforms, one forms of AI, Gen AI, one forms of AI or the other, to stay relevant, right? So that is a trend. You need to follow it and increase reliance on cloud service, edge computing, and advanced analytics. So cloud computing provides a whole lot of opportunities, right? Right from cost, and the elastic natures and all that, and hyper scaling abilities and all that. So you need to rely on cloud platforms, right? Because as your business grow, they give you more rooms to scale, and you can also build your architecture to automatically scale, and then save you costs. You don't need to provision more than you need. It's going to be auto scale. What's the demand? It's going to scale your resources according to the demand you are having and all that. So that is it. Thank you very much for having me. Do we have any question?
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel Ekele. A wonderful presentation, sir. Now we have time for questions and answer. If you have any question for either of the speaker, Mr. Rabi is here. you can signify, or you can just type them in the chat box. Thank you. Does anybody have a question? I mean, asking question, we show that we are actually following. We've been following the presentations. Maybe I should start. Maybe that would give ginger for everybody. Okay. Let me ask this: what are the most common cybersecurity threats you have encountered, and how can organization best be prepared to defend against them? Anybody can answer me, whether Mr. Samuel or Mr. Rabiu. Did you get me?
Sorry, can you read?
Mr. Rabiu, are you still with us, sir?
Can you come again?
Okay, I think Mr. Rabiu is not here. So, Mr. Samuel, I was asking, what are the common cybersecurity threats you have encountered, and how can organization best be prepared to defend against them?
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, the common threats I think I've faced in my whole career is malware and phishing, right? And I've faced ransomware once, but I think the most common one is phishing, social engineering. Basically, that is the most common one. And the reason for phishing, social engineering, is because that doesn't requires like a high technical skill to carry out the act, right? It doesn't require high technical skill to carry out that act. It's just leveraging on human inclination to trust, right? To carry out the act. So if you are good at convincing people to carry out something, to do something, you are already a hacker. Do you understand? So you are not hacking a machine, but you are hacking human being. You are making human being to believe that you are trustworthy, that you are a good person, and then they will hand over their credentials, and then you use their credential to go and steal their information, steal their money, or do anything. So I think that's the most common cyber threats or attacks that I faced in my entire life. And it has taken, and it's like almost it has like 40 to 50% of the entire cybercrime market share.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. Does anybody have question? I'm not getting any question in the chat box. Mr. James, Elizabeth, Susan, Tolani, Uzaina, Ajayi John. Are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hear you.
You
I have basically no question for now.
We are waiting. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. My question, it could be a recap of what has been said already, but looking at the issues in IT infrastructure, I believe some issues has been highlighted, while there has been some solution that has been provided to those issues. But I would like that you can highlight one or two solutions to modern IT infrastructures that can be that we can implement actually, probably in our infrastructures. That's my question.
All right. Thank you very much for that question. So for the practices that you can implement on your IT infrastructure, number one, I can say there are a whole lot of them because we've talked about the challenges, right? We've highlighted a couple of challenges with the modern IT infrastructure. We talked about the scalability and flexibility issues, and we've talked about cost constraint. We also talked about cybersecurity threats and all that, right? So there are a whole lot of solutions about and how to go about this, each and every one of the issues discussed. And for security, I think we need to do more as an organization. You need to train your staff, because your staff is the easiest entry point into the organization than breaking. You know what it takes to break an operating system? It takes a whole lot of work. It takes a whole lot of strength, a whole lot of high-skilled individuals to actually break into common password, right? So the easiest way for them is to get through someone in the organization to get into the organization, right? So I think what an organization needs to do is to provide awareness, training to its staff, tell them how to secure their data, their privacy, and all that, right? Give them a good orientation on data management and the likes. That way, you are a bit safe, and it's a continuous thing, right? And there should be a security policy with your IT administrators, like regular passwords, rotations, password should have expiry date, and there are certain characters that's expected in a password before it can be accepted and all that. So basically setting up a good password policy, you are halfway done, right? That's for cybersecurity. And cloud platforms like GCP, provide a whole lot of security tools that you can use to actually protect your digital assets, protect your applications, data encryptions and all that. Everything is provided there. You take advantage of them, right? And issue of scalability, when you are designing your application, you need to have a good infrastructure management skill or practice, in a sense that you don't provision more than you need. You only provision what you want or what is required, right? Just those basic things you need to put into consideration, and to help you to save a whole lot of cost, right? And solve a whole lot of problem. And I think that's just it. That's just it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Samuel. Does anyone else ask a question before we move on? If there is none, I would like to share more about Bincom Global Tech. I hope everyone can see my screen. We've already seen a video.
Yes, okay.
Bincom Global Tech. So this is just a little more about it. Bincom Global Tech program is your solution to launch a career globally. It's a 3 months to 2 years program, which is focused on 3 key pillars, which is to learn skills, gain experience, and gain exposure. Why choose us? You are basically going to learn skills. You are learning tech skills. You are gaining relevant tech experience, and you are gaining exposure. These are the knowledge tracks on the tech program. We have data science, DevOps, infrastructure, UI, UX, graphics, project, service product management, quality assurance, and automation testing, backend, digital marketing, and front end and mobile app development, and so on. So if you would like to join or learn more about it, I'm going to drop a link in the chat box. Oh, sorry, you said my voice is low. Can you hear me now? I just dropped a link in the chat box. If you'd like to learn more about it and you'd like to join us, without wasting our time, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure hosting this meetup, and I hope that we've all found it's very valuable. Please remember to complete the feedback form. The link is on the chat box too, if you have not done it already. And feel free to connect with to stay connected with us through our social media handles, Bincom Dev Center on all social media. We look forward to seeing you on our next event. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Rabiu, and thank you, Mr. Samuel.
My pleasure.
We have come to the end of the event.